plus, plus, plus. Let's talk about the word plus. As we dive into this versatile term, you'll see that it can be both a preposition and a noun in English. When used as a preposition, plus means in addition to, as well as, or along with. For example, I have $5 plus the money I found on the ground. Here, we're combining two amounts. As a noun, plus refers to an advantage or benefit that someone gets from a situation or thing. For instance, studying abroad was a great plus for her. It helped her improve her language skills. It's essential to note that when used as a preposition, plus is usually followed by a singular noun. And when referring to an advantage, the word a is often used before plus. The professor mentioned that the new course material would be available online plus in person. Lectures for students who prefer to learn in a classroom setting. She added that this was a great opportunity for students to get hands-on experience with the subject matter and to interact with their peers, which would definitely enhance their learning experience. In contrast, her colleague, a business major, preferred a more concise approach and simply said, "We're offering an online plus in-person course format," without elaborating on the benefits of this approach. Meanwhile, at the student union's bake sale, a volunteer asked how many pastries were available to sell and was told, "We have 50 brownies plus a bunch of cookies," which left her wondering if they would sell out quickly. So you want to know about that little thing we use to show that we're adding two numbers together? It's actually quite simple. When we see this symbol, it means we need to take the first number and add another amount to it. The main characteristics of this symbol are that it's a small line above a horizontal line, like a short dash over a straight line. You might also hear people call it addition, or describe it as putting two numbers together. When you see this symbol, you can imagine taking the first number and combining it with another amount to get an even bigger number. Practitioner, practitioner, practitioner. Hello. As a language teacher, I'd be happy to explain the word practitioner. So, the part of speech for practitioner is a noun, which means it refers to a person, a thing, or an idea. In common usage, a practitioner typically refers to someone who has professional experience and skill in a particular field or activity, such as a doctor, a medical practitioner, a lawyer, a legal practitioner, or even a yoga instructor. A yoga practitioner. The key point is that this person is not just a beginner or amateur, but rather someone who has spent time honing their skills through practice and experience. One special note about the usage of practitioner is that it's often used in formal or professional settings, so you might see it more frequently in job titles, academic contexts, or official documents. In a formal setting, such as a job interview or a professional conference, you might say, "As a seasoned practitioner of neurosurgery, I have had the privilege of participating in numerous complex surgeries that required precise attention to detail and swift decision-making." This example demonstrates how the word practitioner can be used to emphasize one's expertise and experience in a specific field. Context: the speaker is being interviewed for a position as a lead surgeon at a prestigious hospital. In casual conversation with friends or colleagues, you might say, "I'm just starting out as a yoga practitioner, but I've already seen some amazing results from my daily practice. The flexibility I've gained is insane." This example shows how the word practitioner can be used to describe someone who engages in a particular activity or hobby. Context. The speaker is sharing their personal experiences and goals with friends at lunch. In business or academic contexts, you might say, "Our team of expert practitioners in digital marketing will lead the new campaign, utilizing data-driven insights and innovative strategies to maximize brand engagement and drive sales." This example highlights how the word practitioner can be used to describe a professional who applies their expertise to achieve specific goals. Context. A company's leadership is discussing the launch of a new marketing initiative with key stakeholders. So you want to know what I mean by a person who helps people learn languages? Okay, let me explain. A person with this role is usually someone who has expertise in teaching and guiding others through the process of learning a new language. They're like a guide or coach who helps learners improve their speaking, writing, reading, and listening skills in a specific language. One way to think about it is that they're similar to a tutor, but often work with many students at once. What they do is help learners understand the grammar rules, vocabulary, and pronunciation of the target language, and also provide them with exercises and activities to practice and improve their skills. They might use different methods or materials to cater to individual needs, and sometimes even focus on specific aspects like conversation skills or exam preparation. Does that make sense? Predominant. 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 So, let's break down the word predominant together. As a verb or adjective, it means that something is most common or typical in a particular situation or context, often having a significant influence on others. For example, the predominant culture in this city is Western-style fast food, which means that Western-style fast food is the most popular and widely available type of cuisine here. As an adjective, it's often used to describe something as being larger or more influential than anything else of its kind. In common usage, you might see predominant in sentences like, "The predominant theme of the movie was love," which means that the idea of love is what dominated and shaped the entire story. Now, a special note about using predominant. Make sure not to confuse it with words like main or primary, as predominant implies a stronger emphasis on something being most common or typical in a particular context. Does that make sense? Here are 3 practical example sentences using the word predominant, along with brief context explanations. In formal writing, such as an essay on cultural differences, you might use the sentence, "The predominant language spoken in our village is English, but we also have a significant number of speakers who speak Spanish and French." This context requires a formal tone to convey respect for the diverse linguistic heritage of the community. In casual conversation with a friend about a trip to Italy, you might say something like, "The predominant tourist activity in Rome was eating pizza and gelato. I think we gained a few pounds while we were there." Here, using predominant in casual conversation creates a light-hearted and humorous tone. In a business or academic setting, such as presenting data on consumer preferences, you might use the sentence, "According to our market research, coffee was the predominant choice among office workers for their morning caffeine fix." This context calls for a more formal tone to convey confidence in the statistical findings. So, you're trying to learn about this word that describes something that is most typical or usual in a particular group or situation? Well, let me break it down for you. A key characteristic of this concept is that it's what you'd typically expect to see or experience when thinking about a certain thing. Imagine you're talking about people who live in different parts of the world. If someone says they're from Europe, for example, you might think of them as being mostly Christian, eating pasta and pizza regularly, and speaking English or another European language. That's because these traits are what most people associate with Europeans, making them the norm or standard for that group. Now, similar concepts to this idea include typical, usual, or even standard. And when we use it in a sentence, we're usually describing something that's generally expected or common among a particular group of people, like saying, most students in this university study computer science.